homework.
Yes.
And then like the pictures that I looked up in Google to get another view. And then that it's like a different thing altogether when we do the test. So I think I'll be okay, but that I'm just a little bit nervous. And I know you gave that preview of how we're tested. So maybe if I study with that and then take it, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I think you want to focus on, the test review stuff. Make sure you have a list next to you. Make sure maybe you review those videos a couple times that I go through the material again on the test review. And then keep in mind it's mostly about being able to look it up versus memorizing. I think that's something to keep in mind since it's an open book test. And then what else? Think about that. That would help. Gotta make sure that test is open. Yeah, I opened.
Would you suggest, like, because I printed out all of the kind of doing like the flashcards like you suggested, but I guess, I'm sorry, I don't know who was just speaking, but brought up a good point about like the view of which you're looking at the muscle.
Yeah, and that's probably where you want to review those videos, in the review section for the test.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can share with you. I'm not totally sure how that works. I usually work with a Mac, and this is like some PC thing from school. It's like, can you guys see my screen, my canvas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the test itself, but where I'm interested, and it's probably going to be hecka slow right now because this is an old computer, but where I'm going to spend some time with is not this should open is this here in the test review and pictures, and then especially for the muscles, I think. I mean, it's a little hard for me to gauge, but I think the muscles generally the more difficult parts. For sure, we should watch these videos, especially the last ones where we go through the muscles. That might be very helpful, I think, because it shows you the view of how I test. And then, of course, the pictures that I use on the test, I think you should at least look at those, even electronic. I don't think you need to print those out. That's just a lot of ink. And then I think you should be okay. And you just copy it over as good as you can from the term list. And nothing else is on the test than what's on the term list. And that's important. And then also remember that I ask either for bones, which are whole bones, like the frontal bone, or landmarks on the bone, which is like the glabella, for example, or muscles. And so make sure you keep that straight in your application. And yeah, sometimes people just mess up because they use terms that are not from the term list. And if it's close, I give it, but it's so much harder for the students, I think. And you have 2 hours, I think. So that should also help. If you have a little anxiety, make sure you remember that part, that you have 2 hours, I believe. Yeah.
And the test is open until next Sunday, correct? At midnight or 11:59?
The 17th, that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, till the 17th, right here. Okay. Oh, can you see my canvas again or my regular screen?
We see you.
Oh, let me put up, because if those are no, if you go with those, if you don't have questions on those, then we can go through the week. But make sure you ask the test questions, even though I talk about the week coming up. Just interrupt me, because this week what we're going to do is we're going to do the heart, and we're going to do the blood and blood vessels in terms of the questions and the video watching. And then the labeling we do is not that much. Labeling is the heart, and then some blood cells of that I have you label. Oh, what the heck is this all about here? This cursor, if I stay on it, it goes to the next thing. So I should not use it like that. But anyway, the heart, what do I want to say about that? I want to make sure you understand a few things here. Number one, there is other term list. You already have that term list in your handouts, but there, if in case you need to print it out again, there's the term list 2, which covers the anatomy terms of all the stuff that comes from now forward till the end of the semester. And then the other thing that I need you to pay attention to is this test 3 review. I know it's a little weird because we're actually just taking test 2, but as we work through this next material, this material is pretty dense in terms of how we go through it. And so what I want you to do is I want you to focus on understanding the stuff that's described in the videos and in the booklets, and then go to the test 3 review into this picture where it says test 3 review. And there is a 5-page review sheet of all the stuff that I'm going to ask you in terms of the lecture material, not in any terms, but in terms of the lecture material that I ask you on test 3. So as you work your way through it, you go like, okay, this is first we have the heart, and then we have the blood vessels, and then we have the blood. So the all in terms of the lectures, not the anatomy terms, those are on the term list, but in terms of the other material, all you need to remember for the test is on these 5 sheets. So all you need to remember from the heart chapter, besides the anatomy terms, is these points. What does log mean? What does cardiac output mean? What does systole mean? And so you work your way through the booklets, through the videos, through the questions, and then afterwards, I want you to make sure when you understand it, you focus on those points only and not on everything, because otherwise it's too overwhelming. And this way, I can go through a fair amount of material and we can kind of explain it and talk about it, and but you don't have to memorize everything. So hopefully that's a little more relaxed. And so that's what I have here in this next module. So as you start that module, make sure you finish up, even if you start that module a little later because you focus on the test, we'll catch up. But this is just what I have on the plate for this week. So yeah, make sure you go and besides doing the questions and watch the videos, do the list, print out, grab out your term list or print it out here if you want to again, and then do the coloring exercise, of course, but then spend some time on the test review 3. And if you can print out that test review, that would be very helpful ahead of the time. So as you work your way through the stuff, you have a very organized way of knowing what do I want you to remember. Since that's always so difficult in science classes, and the teacher's like, it's just all in the book. Everything in the book you need to know. I want to try to avoid that if I can, because that always pissed me off too much. Or it was too anxiety provoking. I think that's really what it was. Yeah, same with this honor log. Anybody have a class with honor log? Just curious. No? Well, that's good. Maybe that will phase itself out. Okay, so then that's week for the heart, and then also in the blood vessel we cover the same stuff we cover. We have some video stuff and then a quiz. Oh, a couple of quiz, blood and blood vessels. So, but the blood vessel is only six questions, so that's not too bad. And then we do have a small labeling thing for the blood. We do not do the blood typing, and we do not do the blood pressure. Those were when we were in class. You don't see those, or now you don't see those no more. But we will do a blood pressure exercise, and you have that in your handout. That is where we go for 1 week. We will sort of look at the boxes of what we eat and sort of be mindful of how much salt do we eat. And that's basically it, because salt is the most biggest component for one of the bigger components that controls blood pressure or has an influence on blood pressure. We generally eat too much salt in our diet. And with COVID, I can't have you guys go to CVS and everybody take their blood pressure, which is an activity I want to do once we get better with that stuff. That way we know. But at least I figured we do something practical where that has to do with the heart, and the salt intake is sort of what has to do with that. So just on that exercise, read your way through it. The pamphlet is a 3.5 pager, I think. It's not that bad. and then get some knowledge from that, and then track your salt intake as good as you can for a week. And at the end of that, 5 days, a week is 5 days as far as I'm concerned. I think I did 5 days. Otherwise, it's 7, I guess. But then take a picture of it and shoot it up on Canvas, and then that's your handout for that. There's a few questions related to answer those also, if you could. And then that so basically closes out the work that we have for this week. That's all I really want to bring up. And then I just leave it open for more questions if you have questions or clarifications. Anybody?
So I see that's due the week of on the 24th. So that's for next week.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Look, I am that discombobulated. That's not even this week. So you guys have plenty of time for that.
Okay.
So that's good. So yeah, then just start it slow. I thought I was giving you a little too much, but maybe I almost give you too little now. But then just start it slow but start printing out that test review thing if you can. Then you have a good start happening with that next, the next part, the third part. Good. Well, that's good. I'll give you a whole week for that test. That's good. Okay. Yeah, and then after that, we have the 31st, we do immune system, endocrine, and then we get into the nervous system for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So that's good. Okay. All right. If there's no other questions, then we can close it out early. We don't have to keep it on here. And just shoot me a text if you feel like you need to reach out or have questions. I'll try to be, they didn't take my phone. I had that on me. So I try to be on top of that as much as I can. And I wish you all a good week.
Thanks. Good luck with your stuff.
Thanks. Yeah. It's a bit of, it becomes an emergency, I guess, when that happens.
Yeah.
Seriously.
In Buddhism, they say, this gives you practice to be more Zen or something, but it's like, it's hard to go back to sleep at night when I'm like, I should have just done that.
That's awful. Well, good luck getting through it all.
Thank you so much. Have a good week, you guys.
Dr. M, it's Allison. I don't know if you remember, my mom was really sick and
oh yes. Mm-hmm.
So she's finally better, but I'm like kind of behind. I mean, I've got last week's stuff to do and then a couple of the activities. So I'm just working my way now that my schedule is like normalizing. But yeah,
no, that's fine. That's totally fine. That's why we have the flexibility with the online.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I don't know. Just wanted to check in.
I'm behind grading to it.
All right. Yeah, it's good. She had a blocked intestine and it somehow resolved itself. So
good. Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Good. Well, good luck with everything.
Thank you. You too. Have a good week. Bye.
Okay, bye.